The Forgotten Morning. The old alien sat alone in the corner of the great hall. His name was Xerath. His skin was rough, marked with deep scars from many battles. His eyes, once bright, now looked tired. But behind those tired eyes was a memory, one that never faded. Xerath was once a great war general. He had led armies across the stars. But now most saw him as useless. They thought he was just an old alien telling ghost stories. But today, he had asked to speak before the Galactic Council. The great hall was full. Aliens from many worlds sat around the circle. Tall ones with glowing eyes, small ones with fast hands, creatures with wings, and even machines with minds of their own. All were silent when Xerath stood up. His voice was slow, but it carried across the room. "Do not fight the humans," he said. "Do not make them your enemy." Some laughed. Others looked confused. Xerath continued. "They look soft. They act kind. But inside them is something dangerous, something you do not understand." A council member, a cold-blooded creature with silver skin, stood up. "You speak of fear, old one. But the humans are weak. They barely left their own planet. They have no empire, no strong fleets." Xerath shook his head. "You judge them by numbers and ships. But that is your mistake. They are not like us. They fight in ways we cannot. They survive where others fall. And when they are pushed, they become unstoppable." Another alien spoke. "You say this, but where is your proof?" Xerath's hand trembled as he touched a scar on his chest. "I fought them. Long ago, when our scouts attacked a human station on their moon. We thought it would be easy. We were wrong." The room grew quiet. "They had only a few soldiers," he said, "but they fought like they had nothing to lose. They moved fast, fought faster. They were not trained by us, but by their planet. A place of storms, beasts, and fire. A world that tested them every day." His voice became heavy. "We lost, badly. I was the only one who returned." "So you fear them because you lost?" someone asked. Xerath looked at the floor. "I fear them because I saw something in their eyes. Not hate, not anger, something worse." They smiled. Gasps spread across the hall. "They smiled before the fight," he said. "They smiled during the fight, like they were born for it." The council leader, a being made of light, spoke calmly. "Thank you, Xerath, but your time is over. We do not see the humans as a threat. The Galactic Empire is strong. If they challenge us, they will be crushed." Xerath stepped back, his face full of sadness. "You are making a mistake." As he walked out of the hall, no one followed him. No one listened. But in the shadows, a young alien kid watched him leave. Her name was Sevi. She had heard stories of Xerath's battles since she was young. She believed him. And now, for the first time, she felt cold fear in her heart. She whispered to herself, "What if he's right?" Far away, on the small blue planet called Earth, a signal blinked red in a human command center. A satellite had picked up something strange near Mars. A human general leaned forward. "It's starting," he said. And on the other side of the galaxy, Xerath sat under the stars, eyes closed. He could feel it. They had ignored his warning. Soon, they would remember it. First strike on Mars. The red sands of Mars lay still. Dust floated gently through the thin air, touching the edges of human steel and fire. A small human base stood quietly near the crater line. Only 20 soldiers inside, most of them young, many of them untested. They laughed, played games, and waited for orders that never came. Until today. A warning flashed across every screen. Unknown ships entering Mars orbit. Fast, silent, not friendly. Captain Jake Morrow, leader of the Mars outpost, stared at the blinking red alert. He was calm. He had seen war. But what came next? No training could prepare them for that. "Get your gear," he said simply. "This is real." Above the planet, 10 alien warships floated like dark clouds. Inside them, the Drakkar, elite warriors of the Galactic Empire, prepared to strike. Their leader, Commander Tazor, stood tall and proud. His skin was smooth like stone, eyes cold like ice. "Humans will break in 1 hour," he told his crew. "They are soft. We hit fast. We hit hard. And we leave nothing standing." They launched. Within minutes, alien pods rained from the sky like fireballs. They crashed into the surface with loud explosions, shaking the human base. The ground cracked. Alarms screamed. Dust filled the air. But the humans didn't run. They moved like ghosts, quiet, fast, ready. Private Lena Crawford, youngest of the group, took position behind a steel wall. Her hands shook. She had never killed anything before. "You okay?" Jake asked beside her. She nodded. "I'm scared." "Good," he said. "Means you'll fight smart." Outside, the alien warriors spread like shadows. They used cloaks to hide. They scanned for heat. They thought the humans would panic, that they would fire wildly. But the humans waited. Soar led the first wave personally. He kicked down the entrance of the outer watchtower and stepped inside. It was dark. Quiet. Too quiet. Then he heard it. A low whisper. A click. A human trap snapped shut around his leg. Sharp spikes dug into his armor. He roared in pain, but that was only the start. The floor below him exploded, throwing him across the room. From the smoke, 3 humans appeared. Silent. Fast. They fired. Short, controlled bursts. Alien blood hit the walls. Zoar's soldiers fell back, confused. This wasn't panic. This was a hunt. "They set traps," one alien hissed. "They knew we were coming." Inside the base, Captain Jake issued quiet orders. Room by room. No mercy. Make them regret stepping here. Human soldiers moved like a machine. Every corner was covered. Every angle was deadly. They didn't speak much. They just worked. They had trained for this moment. And now, it was here. Outside, Sevi, the young alien cadet who believed Sirith, watched the battle feed from orbit. She had begged to join the strike team, but her request was denied. Now she stared in horror as the human base, instead of falling, fought back with fire. "Commander Tazor is down," one voice reported. "The humans are. They're not running. They're winning." The alien council watched in silence. Zareth watched from a quiet moon far away. He closed his eyes. "This is just the beginning," he whispered. Back on Mars, the final moments of the battle came fast. Only 5 alien warriors remained near the base wall. They tried to call for help, but the signal was jammed. Then, through the red fog, a figure walked toward them. A human soldier. Alone. He carried no gun. Instead, he held a piece of the alien pod, sharp, jagged metal, covered in blood. His face had no fear, just calm. The aliens aimed, but they were too slow. The soldier moved like lightning. Metal flashed. One alien dropped, then another. The rest tried to run, but the desert was not kind. Within 10 minutes, the field was silent again. Captain Jake stood near the last pod, now cracked open and empty. He looked around at the bodies, both human and alien. "We held," he said softly. Private Lena sat beside a wounded soldier, wrapping his arm. She didn't cry. She didn't smile. She just worked. Mars had been attacked, and the humans had not only survived, they had won. The message reached Earth in under an hour. It also reached the Galactic Empire. For the first time in centuries, they felt fear. But still, some believed it was just luck. They didn't know that Mars was only the start. And the old aliens' warning was now echoing in every hall, every ship, every planet. But it was too late, because Earth's warriors were no longer hiding. They were coming. Fear spreads in space. A week had passed since the Mars attack. In the cold corridors of the Galactic Empire's capital, every screen now showed the same footage. Bodies of elite alien warriors scattered across red sand, human soldiers standing over them, silent and cold like statues of war. The footage played again and again. Some tried to turn it off. Others couldn't look away. Inside the Empire's war chamber, the High Council sat around a glowing table. Generals, rulers, and ancient minds all argued at once. Their faces were tight with anger and disbelief. "How did a mining outpost destroy our best strike team?" shouted one commander. "They're not soldiers. They're primitives," another yelled. But Sivi, the young cadet who had watched it all, spoke up. "They're not primitives," she said. "They're predators." The room fell silent. "They don't fight like us," she continued. "They fight like they enjoy it, like the battle itself is their home." Some laughed at her, others whispered. But deep down, fear had started to crawl into every heart. Far from the Empire, on Earth's moon base, Human Command had also seen the footage. General Roland stood at the center of a dark room. Behind him, holograms of dead alien leaders flickered. "They thought Mars was weak," he said. "They were wrong." Beside him stood Major Lin, the head of advanced combat. She pointed to the next target glowing on the star map. "They'll retaliate," she said. "We need to be ready." Roland nodded. "We're not just ready. We're going to push first." And with that, the next mission was born. Codename Shadow March. It wasn't just about defense anymore. It was time to move. Back in the Empire, whispers of defeat were now turning into roars of panic. Rumors spread fast that the humans were demons, that they could not feel pain, that they had weapons that could melt metal without heat, that they talked to ghosts and trained in storms. Even the strongest warrior species, the Razik, the Skorv, the Velen, now hesitated at the idea of facing humans. In one training arena, an alien champion dropped his sword after watching the Mars footage. "I won't fight them," he said. "They don't fear death. They welcome it." Meanwhile, Xerath sat alone in a small room on a space station forgotten by most. The lights above flickered. The air smelled of rust and oil. A child passed by and looked at him with wide eyes. "Are you the one who warned the Empire?" she asked. Xerath smiled softly. "Yes, and they didn't listen." "No," he said, "but now they will wish they had." On a moon near the Empire's border, a small alien colony woke to silence. No messages, no trade, no guards. They checked their scanners. Something had passed through during the night. Something fast, something human. In the main hall, a wall had been burned with fire. Words written in a dead alien language. "We don't start wars. We finish them." Fear was now more than just a feeling. It was alive. It moved from planet to planet. It crept into the minds of war generals. It shook the hands of bounty hunters. Even pirates avoided human shipping lanes. Savi was called to a private meeting. Inside, 3 council members waited. They looked tired, scared. "You knew this was coming," one said. She nodded. Xerath told the truth. "How do we stop them?" Savi looked out the window into space. "We don't," she said. "We survive. If we're lucky." On the far edge of known space, a human fleet began to move. Sleek black ships with no markings, no broadcasts, and no warnings. They cut through space like silent blades. Inside one of them, Captain Jake Morrow suited up again. "Mars was just the start," he said to his team. "This time, we bring the war to them." His soldiers checked their weapons. Not one spoke. They didn't need words. They had purpose. They had rage. And now, they had a clear path. In a dark control room deep inside the Empire's war tower, a single line of code blinked on a stolen human device. A voice played over and over again. "Calm. Steady. This is not revenge. This is balance." As the message ended, All lights in the room died. Somewhere, someone screamed. But no one came to help. Because in this new war, the shadows belonged to Earth. Human instincts unlocked. The alien laboratory was buried deep inside a frozen asteroid. Here, far from empire cities, lived one of the most secret minds of the galaxy, Dr. Selkar, a creature with a mind built from code and bone. He was the Empire's best xenobiologist. He had studied the DNA of over 4,000 species, and now, for the first time in his long life, he was afraid. On his table lay a frozen sample taken from a fallen human soldier, perfectly preserved, untouched, and under it, a warning label: "Do not examine alone." But Selkar ignored it. Curiosity was stronger than fear. He ran the scan. What he found changed everything. Human DNA wasn't stable. It shifted. It adapted. And during combat, it evolved in real time. His scanners showed that the soldier had grown stronger during the battle on Mars. His muscles had thickened, his nerves sharpened, his brain had become more reactive while fighting. Selkar leaned back, whispering to himself, "They don't just fight. They become something else, something more." Then, something unexpected happened. The human's eye twitched. It was supposed to be dead. Selkar screamed and backed away. But when guards entered the room, there was no sign of the body. Just a trail of blood leading into the vents. Some say that soldier never died. Some say he still roams the stars, changing, becoming something even humans don't understand. On the edge of Empire space, human strike teams launched silent missions. No news, no warnings, just silence. And then ashes. Entire alien bases found destroyed, with walls melted and machinery sliced like paper. Recordings showed blurry shadows, fast, quiet, with glowing eyes. They didn't speak. They didn't pause. They didn't leave survivors. In one destroyed control room, a single word was found scratched into the floor. Remember, the Empire was crumbling, not because of war, but because of fear. The leaders called emergency meetings. Armies were called back to defend core worlds. Supply chains broke. Planets isolated themselves. And worst of all, soldiers began deserting. They didn't want to face humans. They had seen the videos. One showed a human soldier running through gunfire, burning, yet still fighting. Another showed a team of humans jumping from orbit with no ships, just armor, and surviving. And one video, later banned, showed a human child defeating 2 trained alien warriors in hand-to-hand combat. The child had smiled afterward. "They train young," Sevi said, watching that footage. "They grow up learning pain. And pain doesn't stop them. It feeds them." She turned to Xerath, who now lived in a quiet mountain shelter on a moon called Solon 5. His eyes were dim, but his voice still had strength. "You were right," she told him. Xerath didn't smile. "They haven't even started yet," he said. "You'll know when it begins, the moment the humans stop defending and start hunting." That moment came. Operation Darkwave. 12 human ships appeared in orbit above an Empire weapons facility. No broadcasts, no demands, just silence. Then, one by one, the defense satellites exploded. The facility went dark in 6 minutes. When backup forces arrived 2 hours later, they found only one thing. The humans had left a mirror in the main hallway, and on it was written, "This is what mercy looks like." At the highest tower of the Galactic Empire, the Supreme Council watched in silence. No one spoke. Then one voice broke through. The Emperor himself. "We must understand what we're facing." Sevi stepped forward and played a new video, footage taken from a failed spy drone above Earth. It showed humans training in storm fields, fighting each other with sticks and bare hands. It showed them climbing mountains with broken legs, swimming through fire zones, laughing as they bled. "This is normal for them," she said. "This is childhood." "What are they preparing for?" one council member asked. Not us, she said. They don't fear us. Zareth entered the room, leaning on a cane. Everyone stood. Even now, they respected him. Humans don't need reasons to fight, he said. They only need a cause. And now, we've given them one. Can we stop them? No, Zareth replied. We can only decide how we fall. On a black ship moving through the stars, Captain Jake Morrow stood in front of his squad. His voice was low. They started this war, he said, but we're going to end it. For our fallen, for every warning they ignored, for every message they laughed at. His soldiers nodded. They were not smiling. They were not angry. They were focused. In a quiet voice, Lena Crawford whispered beside him, "We're not just soldiers anymore." Jake looked at her. "No," he said, "we're the future." And so, across the galaxy, the fear became truth. Humans were not monsters. They were something worse. They were survivors. And survivors never stop. Not until the war ends. On their terms, the rising flame. It began with whispers. At first, only the border colonies heard the stories. Small planets, trade stations, forgotten moons. They spoke of dark shapes in the sky, of silent ships that did not ask for surrender, of soldiers in black armor who did not speak, who did not celebrate, who only came, and left ruins behind. The Galactic Empire had lost more than battles. They had lost control. They had lost fear. Because now, the galaxy no longer feared the Empire. They feared the humans. In the command center of New Zorel, a massive Empire city planet, a young general stared at the incoming reports. Fortress after fortress falling. Outposts going dark. Supply lines destroyed. How are they moving so fast? He asked. His aide swallowed hard. They don't follow routes. They don't use our spaceways. They travel through dead zones, radiation belts, black holes, places no one dares to enter. But how? The aide whispered, because they're not trying to survive the path. They are the path. In the sky above planet Vestan, 5 human ships broke orbit. They were not large, not full of weapons, but the Empire fleet stationed there, 20 warships, over 4,000 troops, vanished in less than 15 minutes. No one saw the battle. No one recorded it. All that was left was a broken Empire flag floating in space, and a message burned into the moon's surface. We warned you. In a hidden war room, deep beneath the Empire's last stronghold, the Supreme Council gathered again. Eyes tired, hands shaking, arguments loud. Some wanted peace, others wanted surrender. But one old general, the same silver-skinned creature who once laughed at Zareth, now slammed his fist on the table. "You cannot talk to something that doesn't fear death," he shouted. "You cannot reason with creatures that become stronger every time we fight them." "What do we do then?" someone asked. Before he could answer, the lights went out. A single word appeared on every screen. Soon. Far from the Empire's fear, the human fleet moved with quiet rage. Captain Jake Morrow stood aboard the flagship Helix 1. The stars around him were red. "How far are we from the core worlds?" he asked. Major Lynn responded, 2 jumps. They won't expect us to strike so deep. Jake nodded. That's why we will. Behind them, rows of human warriors stood silent. Some were fresh. Others had scars from Mars. Lena Crawford adjusted her armor. Her hands didn't shake anymore. "Do you think they're ready for this?" she asked. Jake looked at her. They were never ready. On the Empire's capital world, panic spread faster than orders. Citizens packed ships, trying to flee. Riots broke out in the market domes. Soldiers refused to fight, laying down weapons without a word. And above them, satellites showed what was coming. 10 human ships, small, dark, calm. The Empire launched every defense system. Orbital cannons, stealth drones, planet-wide shields. But the humans didn't come in guns blazing. They came in silence. Then, without warning, the city lights flickered. A low hum echoed across the sky. Then, the shields fell. Every gun turned off. Every drone dropped. Nothing worked. The humans had hacked everything. Not with noise, but with quiet understanding. And that's when the people saw them. Black figures walking down the main roads. Not killing, just walking. They stared at everyone with calm, steady eyes. And one by one, the Empire's people dropped to their knees. Not because of force, but because of truth. The war was over, and they had lost. Not to monsters, not to machines, but to something worse. To humans who had become flame. Xerath watched the news in silence. Beside him, Seve wept, not in fear, but in sorrow. "What have we done?" she whispered. Xerath closed his eyes. "We woke the storm," he said. "We thought they were small, weak, broken, but all we did was give them a reason. Can they be stopped?" Xerath shook his head. "No, but maybe they can be understood." "What do you mean?" "They are not fighting us for power," he said. "They are fighting us for memory, for every soldier we called weak, for every warning we ignored, for every time we laughed." He looked out at the stars. "This isn't revenge," he whispered. "This is history, burning its way through time." And so, the Empire burned. Not with fire, but with truth. And through it walked the humans, cold and quiet. The rising flame of a species that no longer needed to shout, because the galaxy now spoke their name in whispers, and feared it more than death. No mercy on Centurion Prime. Centurion Prime was the heart of the Galactic Empire. It was not just a planet, it was a symbol. A world of crystal towers, floating cities, endless skies filled with defense grids and warships. It had never been touched by war, never breached. It was believed to be untouchable. Until now. Above the planet, human ships arrived in silence. No warnings, no demands. Just black ships, sharp and quiet, appearing like ghosts through the void. Thousands of Empire defense units locked onto them. Auto turrets powered up. Planetary shields glowed bright. The sky turned red. But the humans didn't fire. They simply waited. Inside the Empire's war control tower, commanders shouted, "Why don't they attack? What are they waiting for?" Then the lights flickered. Then, darkness. One by one, every gun stopped working. Shields failed. Ships turned dead in space. Someone whispered the words no one wanted to say. "They're already inside." On the surface of Centurion Prime, panic exploded. Sirens rang out across the sky. Millions of citizens ran toward bunkers. Soldiers rushed to their stations, only to find weapons that didn't respond. In the Emperor's tower, alarms echoed through the great silver halls. A guard sprinted up the stairs. "Emperor, we must evacuate." But the Emperor stood still, staring out the window. Below he saw them. Humans, walking through the streets. Slow, steady, silent. 100 of them. Maybe more. But it wasn't the number that brought fear. It was the way they moved. Like shadows with purpose. Like fire wrapped in skin. The Emperor turned and said only one word. Xerath. In a cold mountain bunker far from the capital, Xerath sat in silence. A message played on loop. A live feed from Centurion Prime. His old home. His pride. Now falling. He didn't smile. He didn't speak. But inside, he knew this was the price of being ignored. Back on the planet, the first real resistance formed near the central plaza. Hundreds of Empire warriors, some of the best, took defensive positions behind armored walls. "We stop them here," the captain barked. "We make them bleed." The humans entered the plaza. Not one of them spoke. The captain fired the first shot. A laser blast hit the chest of a human soldier. But he didn't fall. He didn't even flinch. He kept walking. Closer. closer, until he stood in front of the wall. The captain raised his weapon again. But before he could shoot, silence. A blade slid through the air. Quick, clean. The captain dropped. Others tried to run. But the humans were already everywhere. Climbing walls, rising from shadows, dropping from rooftops. No shouting, no orders. Just pure, perfect, practiced destruction. Within 6 minutes, the plaza was quiet again. Only the wind moved, and in the center stood a young human soldier, Lena Crawford. Her armor was scratched, her eyes cold. She placed the Empire's flag on the ground and burned it. Not in anger, but in silence. In orbit, the Empire's backup fleets tried to regroup. They sent drones. They sent calls for help, but no one answered. Other planets had shut down. They had heard the stories. They had seen what happened to those who resisted. And now, no one wanted to be next. Inside the Emperor's chamber, guards stood ready. His throne room was sealed. But it didn't matter, because the wall behind the throne cracked. A small hole opened, and through it stepped Captain Jake Morrow. Alone, his armor carried dust from Mars. His boots dripped with alien blood. The Emperor raised his hand. "Stop," he said. "We can talk. We can make peace." Jake looked at him without emotion. "You had your chance." The Emperor stepped back. "We were wrong. We should have listened to Xerath." Jake didn't move. "We're not here for peace," he said. "We're here to finish the lesson." "What do you want?" "Nothing," Jake said, "because wanting something means you need something. And we're already complete." Then he turned and walked away. He didn't kill the Emperor. He didn't need to. The humans didn't want a leader. They wanted the world, and now it was theirs. By nightfall, Centurion Prime was under human control. Not a single building had been destroyed. Not a single bomb had been dropped. And yet, the Empire had lost everything. Its heart, its fear, its meaning. The people didn't resist. They opened their doors. They dropped their weapons. Some even offered food to the humans, hoping to be spared. But the humans didn't accept kindness. They didn't smile. They just passed by, cold and focused, because this wasn't revenge. This was order. On a nearby moon, Sevi watched the red glow in the sky. Centurion Prime was burning, not in flames, but in silence. She turned to Xerath. "They didn't destroy the city," she said. "They didn't need to," he replied. "They destroyed its soul. What will happen now?" Xerath looked up at the stars. "Now, they become legends. And far beyond, on the edge of a dark galaxy, a human child trained with her mother in a cold forest. She was only 7, but her hands were strong, her eyes focused. "Why do we train every day?" she asked. Her mother smiled softly. "Because we remember. A new law of the galaxy." The stars were quiet. No ships moved. No orders were sent. No alarms screamed across the systems anymore. The Galactic Empire was gone. Not destroyed, but undone. Its laws were dust. Its pride was broken. And its fear now had a new name. Earth. Centurion Prime stood like a ghost. Its towers still touched the sky. Its roads still glowed beneath moonlight. But the sound of boots, human boots, echoed through the streets. No one cheered. No one cried. Because the war hadn't ended with fire or blood. It had ended with silence. And in that silence, a message had formed. A truth that every world now understood. Humans were not conquerors. They were reminders. At the center of the Empire's great hall, where rulers once shouted and fought, now stood Captain Jake Morrow. Beside him, Major Lena Crawford, and the remaining survivors of the Mars defense team. Around them stood leaders of many species, some brave, some ashamed, all quiet. Sevi stood too, now an ambassador for her people. She wore no armor, only a white robe of peace. The Emperor knelt before Jake, his voice low. You won. Jake shook his head slowly. No, he said. You lost. What happens now? The Emperor asked. Jake didn't answer. Instead, he stepped aside. From the back of the hall, a child walked forward. A girl. Human. Only 12 years old. She stood with perfect calm. Her eyes held something ancient. Something powerful. We won't rule you, she said. We don't want thrones, or taxes, or your names written under ours. Then what do you want? One alien asked, confused. The girl smiled. We want memory. From that day on, every galactic world held one new law. One law above all others. One law written in stone, sky, and silence. Never ignore the warning of a veteran. On every school wall. On every soldier's badge. On every ship's engine. The story was told again and again. Once, an old alien named Xerath warned the galaxy. He told them not to fight the humans. He told them what they were capable of. But no one listened. And so, they were shown. Xerath, now old and fading, watched from a quiet garden on a peace planet. He sat under a glowing tree with Sevi beside him. Birds sang above. Flowers moved with wind. And the stars shined in perfect silence. You saw it all coming. Sevi said softly. Xerath nodded. No, he whispered. I saw only the spark. They became the flame. What do you think they are now? Xerath looked at the sky one last time. They are not warriors, he said. Not anymore. They are balance. When things tip too far, they come. And they said it right. His eyes closed, and his heart finally rested. On Earth, the people didn't celebrate. They planted trees. They built homes. They told their children stories, not of victory, but of warning. We were pushed, the elders said. We didn't want war. But when war came, we showed them what it meant to survive. Every child learned the name of Mars, of Jake Morrow, of Lina Crawford, and of Xerath, the alien who saw what others refused to see. In time, the Galactic Council was rebuilt, not as rulers, but as listeners. Humans didn't join it. They didn't need to. They left a chair open at every table, a silent seat with no name. And every time someone asked why it was empty, the answer was always the same. For the ones who warned us. Deep in the outer rim, a small ship floated near a blue sun. Inside, a young alien watched a video on a dusty screen. It showed a human soldier smiling before battle. The alien paused it, breathing slowly, then whispered to himself, I will never forget. Behind him, a human voice spoke. Good. That's the whole point. The alien turned and smiled. So now, across every star, every moon, every planet, the galaxy moves differently. Not because humans rule it, but because humans changed it. Through pain, through silence, through fire. They didn't bring war to the galaxy. The galaxy brought war to them. And in return, humans brought a mirror, so that all could see themselves and never make the same mistake again.